This week, we're talking about Toys for Bob's next game. We've got a review report on Dragon's Dogma 2 and Princess Peach Showtime, and the beautiful fidelity of Marvel 1943. It's time to start the download. Hello, and welcome back to Up Download. I am your host for the day, Sterling, aka iCitation. I am joined today by Michelle, aka Mix Yen, with a very beautiful new background put together. This gorgeous shrine to everybody's favorite vampire boy. I am proud to have been along for the ride as you found
Thank you.
a couple of these pieces of merch. Can you
Thank you.
walk us through kind of what your favorite new additions to this piece of art is?
Okay, honestly, if we're talking strictly Astarian prints, hang on. I do really like the two prints on the sides over here. Over here and over here. They're by the same artist at _ Mimi Maru on Twitter, I think. I love those. But honestly, my favorite new addition is, let me just grab it real quick. This wooden D20. It glows.
Gorgeous.
It freaking glows.
Oh, that is
beautiful. You can change the
beautiful.
colors. And this is by Works of Whimsy Studios. They're actually out of Missouri. But I had found them on Twitter, didn't realize they were out of Missouri. We went to Kansas City Comic-Con and we found their booth. So she was very nice to talk to. Jess is the one that makes them, so would highly recommend.
Had you already gotten this, or had you already ordered it when we went to the con, or did you get it there?
No, I ordered it after we left the con.
Oh, okay. Yeah, awesome. So yeah, we had a great time at Planet Comic-Con.
We did.
It was a very fun. I went for 2 days. You went for 1 day, but we made sure to fill that 1 day with as much as we could, walking around that very large. I always feel like a bad con goer, because every time I go to a con, I just walk around the show floor where all the merch is, and I just check all that out, and then I don't go to any of the events. And so all I'm doing is spending money to be able to go spend money, and then not go to like the after parties and stuff.
Well, look at it this way. Like, you're going to the booths on the floor, which are typically going to be the smaller, lesser known, like, artists or whoever. So in reality, you're supporting small businesses by doing this.
Exactly, yeah. And also, like, getting to see, like, there's so many people that I would not have gotten to see otherwise had I not been on the floor. For some reason, I don't know what it was about that day that you were also there. Just kept running into people I knew.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I never felt like that popular of a person before, but then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, now I know people. This is great. This is fun.
Can I tell you?
Yeah, please.
So I was in a Chun-Li cosplay, and it's very hard to get, at least from when I looked a few years ago, I could not find a good white shoe that was entirely white. So I ended up getting like these heeled booties. Most painful shoes of my life. So at the end of the day, I had done like, I think around 10,000 steps in those boots. It certainly does, because I was like waddling around, but I was still
I
serving
felt like
fat.
I was doing worse than you, which amazed me, because I'm in my tennis shoes and I was complaining. I know because I was like, I shouldn't be complaining right now because Michelle has it way worse than me, but my God, I'm in so much pain.
So I just need you to know, I did not walk for like a week after.
I'm proud of you.
My feet were in, like, it definitely took a full week for the bones in my feet to just not like crackle every time I walked a few distances.
Yeah, that's incredible. I was very happy that Billy and Matt ran the show that week. We didn't have a show last week. This was 2 weeks ago. I was very happy they ran the show, because that let me be slow to rise Sunday morning, getting back home. I watched the show and sat here and played Helldivers and did nothing. And I did not much that week. So very happy. Yeah, so we got a great show today. There's been a few, not a lot of news, but some of the news we have is pretty interesting. And I would say the most like breaking coming today comes from WindowsCentral.com, and from specifically Jez Corden at WindowsCentral.com, saying that Xbox has reached an agreement with Crash Bandicoot Spyro Dev Toys for Bob for their new game. And there's no, like, we don't know what the game is. We don't know time frame. We don't know anything about it. But we do know that recently Toys for Bob went independent. I'm forgetting now. I feel like they might have been able to escape the grasp of Embracer and get to be an independent group. Definitely whatever they escaped from. Happy they're independent. And then immediately forming a partnership with Microsoft to release a new game on Xbox. So now they get to be independent but still get the money of this great company. Awesome for them. Have you played Crash Bandicoot or Spyro or anything else that Toys for Bob has made?
I have not, but yeah. I respect them.
Yes, I mean, yeah, and Skylanders too. I have played a couple of the Spyro games. I've played one Crash Bandicoot game. I don't know a lot about them. It's not like they weren't like canon video game events for me. These were games that, like, once I was in college and was learning more about all the games I'd missed out on growing up, I then played these games. But I love their art style. They've got a very unique, cartoony, fun art style, and, like, obviously have the power of making these really strong games. And something we don't know is whether or not it's going to be a new IP or something that already exists. Are we getting a new Spyro game? Are we getting a new Crash Bandicoot game? We don't know literally anything about this, but it's cool to see it. How do you feel about more and more of these developers breaking out and trying to go it alone, go down this independent path?
You know, I think it can be summed up perfectly by what Sven Bank said recently at, I think it was the GDC panel he had. And he was just, this is very, what's the word? This is not verbatim whatsoever, but he basically said, like, I'm pissed because what happens is you have these companies that get bought out and then it's just about numbers and it's all about the quarterly profits and it's not about the people that work there. So you lay off your generational talent and then the next year comes along and you do it all over again. So I think that getting out of these, like, corporate pump and dump video game schemes is really what I think a lot of studios should try and do. But obviously, like, I'm not like a game dev or a CDO, so obviously I don't know, how many blood sacrifices you have to give fucking Sony to get out of a Sony contract. Looking at you, Bungie, but he has a point. Like, look at what they were able to create on their own with Baldur's Gate 3 and sell all of these units. Yes, I'm always going to circle it back to Baldur's Gate 3, but, like, he's got a point. Like, I mean, look at this new Stardew update. Like, Stardew has been around for so long and there's still so many people that just adore it and love the game because it's really just about making a good game and making something from the heart and not just getting profit.
Yeah, I completely agree. And actually, I'm really glad that you brought up Baldur's Gate because I completely forgot to even check in on this on the news this week of Sven. Sven, what's his last name? Vinky?
I don't know. I'm so sorry, Sven.
It's okay.
If I said it
I'm
wrong.
sure he'll live.
I love you, Sven.
So with the announcement that that Larian is not going to be pursuing any more
I forgot
Baldur's
this is also
Gate
news.
3. Yeah, I completely spaced on this. Baldur's Gate 3 is getting no new DLC and will not be a Baldur's Gate 4. They're going on to pursue their own projects. I can fully support that from a we want to separate from Wizards of the Coast standpoint. As somebody who loves Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering, I am surrounded by Magic the Gathering cards right now. I can fully support it. I am just so sad that we are not going to get some of the, like, I would have loved to journey into hell for Will and Karlach. I would have loved to experience more of the Baldur's Gate, like, universe, and I'm sad that Wizards of the Coast is now going to have control over these characters I love, specifically Shadowheart. I do not want them to control Shadowheart. I want to marry Shadowheart. But I'm happy for Larian, I should say. Yeah. So as the resident Baldur's Gate fanatic, how did you take this?
So I'll lay down some facts and then I'll tell you my opinion. So in the days that after that tweet from Sven came out and like the news hitting GDC, because I'm pretty sure that's where they announced it. Sven later on, there were tons of posts coming out on Reddit saying like, we're not surprised because during the creation of Baldur's Gate 3, Hasbro laid off a ton of people that worked for Wizards of the Coast that were in direct communication with Larian. And Sven tweeted around, I think, Christmas, talking about how a lot of the people that they worked with were no longer at Wizards of the Coast because of that. He did tweet a little bit after his initial tweets addressing what he said at GCC, saying that there was no hate towards Wizards of the Coast, that there truly was no animosity there, and that they were very supportive of them the entire time. But I think it's also reasonable that, people who, and I'm not somebody that has a lot of experience in D&D throughout the years and years, but knowing what I do know, I think it's understandable how people would be a little stressed about it, especially me. But anyways, opinion time. I think this is a smart move for Larian. As much as it breaks my heart, I think it's a smart move for them because, you spent 5 or 6 years working on the same IP. Of course you want to go do something different after that. The story had a beginning, middle, and end. Like they could of course always do more with it, but I think what when you have such a great piece of media like this, like your community is going to keep it living on. And not only that, there's not completely done with it because they've said they're adding more cutscenes, they're adding more cinematics. And I think it's likely that we see a definitive edition of the game, like what they've done with the Divinity games as well, right, that might incorporate some new additions as well. So I don't think the game is going to be over for a little bit, but I did like I was telling when the news first broke, Hunter came in here and was like, do you want to talk about it? And I was like, I don't think I'm ever gonna have a piece of media that affects me the way this game affected me. And right, I started crying. I started fucking crying. I was like, I have emotions about this. Like, just look at my background. So as much as it makes me want to throw up, I respect it, and I will be playing whatever game they make next.
Yeah. And we have to build you a Astarian Magic the Gathering commander deck so that you can play Magic with us.
Thank you.
He's I think a very fun card. So quick chat check-in. Going back to the beginning of the show, Wildcat AK says wearing the most painful shoes of your life is a canon event in girlhood.
True.
And can I just also say, as also a canon event in a theater boy's life, I once had to, for one scene, and this one scene destroyed me, for a parody of Hairspray, dressed up as John Travolta and was in heels, and it sucked. I hated it. Back to Toys for Bob. Dying Exhalation, aka Nolan, says their money is on KB Nuts and Bolts 2, and I have no idea what that means. Is KB Crash Bandicoot? And is Nuts and Bolts something? I don't know what that means, Nolan. I don't know what that means
either. I'm so sorry. I'm a boomer. I'm a Gen Zer. Actually, no, that makes more sense. I'm a Gen Zer technically. I'm a Zoomer.
Wildcat AK coming back with shout out high school thespians. Hope therapy is going well now. It is going well when we can afford it. It's wonderful. Yeah, and also Jacob, aka Hebrew He-Man, is complimenting your Witcher boots. Behind
you. Books?
Your Witcher books. Yeah, sorry. I read boots. They definitely meant books.
There we go. Yeah. This has been on the shelf. This was on the shelf first, actually. Just so you know. Okay. Actually, these books have always. I can't point correctly. They've always kind of been in my Zoom background somewhere, and it was great because when I started my new job back in August, they were in my Zoom background. So then I had that's my tell to see who's cool on the team. And one of my coworkers texted me and was like, "Are those the Witcher books?" I'm like,
"That's awesome.
You're my best friend now."
That's incredible. Yes, I said boots. Chill out. So was the books the first thing to go up there just because you're like, okay, it's a bookshelf, I have to at least put books up there first and then be degenerate, or was it?
It was if I at least put the books up here, Hunter won't break up with me. So, because of
Yeah.
my wait, did I show you the mouse pad I got? Did
No,
you
you
see it on
didn't.
Twitter?
You did not. I
Okay,
did not
so
see
we
it.
do. So sorry that the show is divulging into this, but we do a gift exchange in one of my other Discords every single year. So
I did see this. Yep.
okay, so
Continue.
they
Continue.
got the person that got me the there's like a Taylor Swift Astarian candle in the background. So it's Astarian, but it's on the cover of Lover by Taylor Swift, and it says Lover Boy on it. And then she also got me like all these cute little like Astarian photo cards. And then I opened up the other package, which was this Astarian titty mouse pad. And
It's beautiful.
it's so fun. Like
I've always wanted a like I don't necessarily care about the artwork on whatever mouse pad it is, but I want one of those mouse pads because I feel like it is genuinely good for like your wrist.
yeah, I I like it a lot.
So I mean, like I said, I don't need a titty mouse pad. I don't need a booty mouse pad, but like I might get one eventually. It's hilarious. I love it. So yeah, very excited for Toys for Bob. Very excited for Larian Studios, both going on to do their own thing. I want to move on. So we had one very big title released this week, and another title that kind of came out and didn't get talked about too much. So first up, let's start off with Princess Peach Showtime. Princess Peach Showtime surprised me on how little fanfare it got. I forgot it was coming out until it came out, and we got the pings in our Discord that I had suddenly garnered a few extra points for it in our league. Came out to a 75 on OpenCritic, with people praising it for it to be like for it to be like a Princess Peach featured game. You know, they felt like that was a breath of fresh air, but it was mostly like unfocused and felt bland. Just felt like another Nintendo game. And as a big fan of the Paper Mario franchise, who was wholly disappointed in Origami King, I can totally get that it was just like, oh, they just wanted to get something out. It does feel like we are entering the end stages of the Switch's life cycle. Once you get to that phase, I mean, the Wii U was full of failures, but then the last year for the Wii U had a lot more failures. Had you heard anything about this, about Princess Peach?
No.
Yeah, exactly. It seems like a fun title, aggressively mid. I didn't lose points on it, so I'm thrilled by that. I got a few points. I'll take it.
Hell yeah.
Not much to say on Princess Peach Showtime. Aggressively mediocre is what we'll call it. Dragon's Dogma 2, however, released to thrilling reviews. Currently sits at an 89 on OpenCritic. But did get some criticism lobbed its way specifically for the microtransactions. And there was a lot of confusion right off the bat where people thought that microtransactions like weren't in the review copies of the game or were being lied about, when it actually was like right at the top of the review packet that they sent out to reviewers. And it just happened that they just didn't care. It's a $70 game that is full of microtransactions for things in the game, but as far as I could tell are things that you can get anyway. It's just meant to be like, oh hey, if you got money and you want to speed it up, by all means go ahead, but otherwise here's the intended way to play the game, and that's the $70 whole package experience. Have you picked up on any of this drama?
Yes. So, my same bestie coworker played Dragon's Dogma 1. So I was kind of asking him about Dragon's Dogma 2 because I was wondering if I was going to like it. And yeah, so all of those microtransactions that are there on the Steam page are things that are already in the game that you can get. It's just there to make it easier for you if you want like multiples and multiples of the things for like $1. That being said, I think the people that I don't necessarily think that, you know, people coming out of the woodwork review bombing it should be doing that. But, you know, I think it's more of a reflection of the industry that we are in right now, which is so many games have microtransactions that when you see a microtransaction, your immediate response is going to be, what the hell is that? So I don't necessarily think the fan base was wrong for saying we don't like this,
Yeah.
because I think at the end of the day, if you want to make it easier on your players, why not just make it unlimited to begin with? And I saw a lot of people were saying like, oh, this is the way it was in Dragon's Dogma 1 though. Like this is the way it's always been. But why? Like why don't you just make it easier, or make it to the point where your modding community can mod it in? But here's my problem with the freaking game that I think is getting not as much attention as the microtransactions, but it's that there's anti-cheat in the game. Why? Like, why is there anti-cheat
Yeah, I
in
heard about that.
Dragon's Dogma 2? Like, I know from what I've seen, like, Capcom does not like modders. But it's like, why? What's wrong with mods, dude? Like, who cares? Like, I don't know.
You're just begging for people to be able to like crack it and like and do their own thing anyway. Like all that does is make your anti-cheat in the long run worse, because people are going to try and break it. And then if you decide to create something later that needs anti-cheat, you better rebuild it from the ground up. Otherwise, people are gonna get through it a lot easier. And I really like what you mentioned about like, yeah, this stuff about the microtransactions doesn't really matter. At first glance, I can absolutely agree with you. At just looking at this and seeing that there's like lists full of payments on Steam, you look at that and you're like, okay, what is all this? But then once you get into the game and learn what it is, it becomes okay. It is just very poorly communicated, and hopefully lessons were learned. People got over it pretty quickly. I'm sure there are some gremlins somewhere that'll stay mad about it. But once you take the time to comprehend it, and it needs time to comprehend, it's not a big deal in my opinion. Especially because it's just like for the whales that want to speed it up. If you want to fast travel, go fast travel. Have fun. You can fast travel anyway. It does. As far as I'm aware, I have not got to play the game yet.
Yeah.
I'm excited to get to play the game. Once I start getting a paycheck in May, then I will play the game. But until then, probably not.
I did pick up the game and I played it for a little bit, and I'll be honest, I don't think it's for me. I'm not a big I really like RPGs, obviously, but I didn't feel like it was grabbing me, you know?
Yeah.
And I was watching a few streams of it too, just to, see how other people were experiencing it. And I felt like their kind of responses were the same. Like the combat was really fun and everything else was really fun, like the exploration, but they didn't really feel like the story was grabbing them.
Okay.
And not to circle back to Baldur's Gate 3, but I'm just gonna say this. It has cast such a big shadow on games for me now. And I'm kind of like,
I was about to ask anyway, like, do you think Baldur's Gate 3 had
yeah.
ruined your experience with other RPGs?
Yeah, I think if I'm gonna want a taste, I'm gonna have to go back and play like a heavily modded Skyrim if I want something fresh. Modded at Capcom.
Yeah, exactly. Players know how to get what players want in most cases. Occasionally you'll have the fun games like in my opinion, like a Spider-Man or something that like is a beautiful game, has a fun story, and is really a blast. And then also can get supplemented later by mods. The mods for Spider-Man 1 are hilarious. I love them. Yeah, that's great. So I'm excited to see where Dragon's Dogma 2 goes. I know the first was very well received, and hopefully this will have a long life cycle ahead of it. Hopefully we get to have some forced mods at some point, but we'll see what happens there.
I do just want to say,
yeah,
that was an auto draft for my picks in our fantasy game release league. And when Dragon's Dogma 2 came out, it put me back on top so fast. So thank you, Dragon's Dogma 2. I will thank you for that.
I was sad. I keep forgetting. I asked Matt to turn trades on for the league, and I keep forgetting to go in and like actually look at trading with somebody, because I wanna improve my lineup a little bit. I'm not thrilled with my lineup right now. So we'll see what happens. In a sec, we can go through a score roundup.
Okay.
Before that, I want to check in with Marvel 1943. So this week, Epic Games had their State of Unreal showcase, which I think is a hilarious name. We have the State of the Union, and now we have the State of the Unreal. And one could argue that the State of the Union is also pretty unreal. Ooh,
True.
political joke
Real.
there for you. But so they're showing off Unreal Engine and its new features and in any upcoming updates, new games. I didn't watch it this year. I watched it last year, was blown away by it. But something I did see this year, something that a lot of people saw this year, they released this is not normally a place to announce games or show off games. But they did show off a trailer for Marvel 1943 Rise of Hydra. Reason being, because of the immense, like, technological leap forward that they are pursuing with Unreal Engine in this game, specifically in its real-time rendered cutscenes. So I'm going to flip on over to screen capture here. And this trailer, if you have not seen it yet, this is rendered in real time in Unreal Engine, I think 5 is what we're on right now.
I'm more concerned with the 6-foot Cap man who's got claws that can cut through vibranium
Cap's
alloy.
facial animations here are, I mean, all the facial animations throughout the trailer are just perfect. It's freaky. It's not, and what's magical to me is that we're not in like Unreal, or not Unreal, Uncanny Valley territory.
That's too many.
Because it's like, it doesn't make me uncomfortable. I can still tell that it's fake, but it's,
I'll be there before this crisis.
it's wicked.
Before the Germans, before the
And
Americans.
Oh my gosh.
Here we
Yeah,
have,
here's the screen scat I
Azuri.
keep seeing. Yeah.
Yeah, Azuri, who's T'Challa's grandfather, just impeccable.
This is beautiful.
I'm gonna skip ahead to the bridge.
Not to bring it too far back, but this was another complaint with Dragon's Dogma 2 that I was seeing, is that some of the like facial mocap is not actually like mocap. So when you talk to a character, they're just kind of moving their mouth. Like,
Yeah, that doesn't.
it doesn't
surprise
light
me
up.
for an
It looks a
RPG.
little weird.
We
yeah.
really got spoiled with Baldur's Gate 3. And
We did.
Its lit
We
tracking.
did.
Like for an RPG with that many lines, I cannot believe they pulled that off. And Dragon's Dogma 2 not having it doesn't surprise me, but it just sucks that it came. That it's the one of the first big things after Baldur's Gate.
True.
Yeah. This woman's face here. This is not only.
That's so crazy. To me.
That's wild.
We be dead. So what do
Absolutely wild. Yeah. And then this bridge scene. They did release a clip that is an extended version of this bridge scene.
I do not take orders.
Something else I want to shout out here is the costuming.
Neither do I.
I don't think we're gonna see it. Yeah. So in the bridge scene, he takes his mask off, and it's like just interacting with objects at all is a scary feat in game development. And so the fact that like you could have this beautiful costume fully rendered and like look amazing, and then take off the mask and still keep it going, just awesome, just absolutely incredible. So yeah, that is something I'm very much looking forward to playing, if not just for the tech. I'm a Marvel fanboy. I love anything Marvel. Even after the last couple years we've had with the MCU, I am still a sucker for it. So I'm looking forward to it. I don't know.
I need people to realize like the best way to keep your franchise alive. One of the best ways is through games. So I'm glad that Marvel is, putting out constantly
So
like,
right.
because I mean, don't a lot of people play like Marvel Snap too? Like still.
Marvel Snap. I play Marvel Snap all the time.
I know.
Honestly,
Yes,
right?
you're the person you're the mood in my
yes.
timeline.
Yeah, I so the last few weeks, not as much since I've gotten back into Magic, but I still play it often. It's a very incredible. They do really well with balancing video game and card game, and doing things that are only possible in video games with a card game. Because like they do stuff like changing the effects of cards in your hand and stuff like that, which in the tabletop game you can never do because you'd be able to lie about it all the time. Some very fun stuff. I completely agree with you. Fan bases through video games are very necessary because that interaction, you just get a level of interaction you don't get anywhere else.
Yeah.
Midnight Suns was one of my favorite games of 2020. I'm just going to throw a number out there and say 2022. I think it was 2022. One of my favorite games, just for the amount of different like experiences you could have. You could play so many different Marvel heroes, and it was such a skill-based game that I was able to just sink hours into. And the thing is with movies, you can watch a movie once and never watch it again. Some people will watch it multiple times, but for the most part, you just watch it and you're done. 2 hours experience. For a video game, you tack on hours and hours and hours to that, and video games, if made in the right way, can have a much larger replayability factor. And so that absolutely blows me away that sorry, I got distracted by low mic level, so I lost my train of thought.
No, it's okay.
So some of these games that have big replayability will keep your fan base interested. Midnight Suns is a great example of it because you could keep playing missions over and over and over. And then you also have games like Spider-Man just being gorgeous. I don't think you're going to see too many people replaying Spider-Man, the full story. I know I haven't. Like, I've gone back to play New Game Plus, get some extra achievements. But other than a New Game Plus, I've not touched it again.
Not to bring it like all the way back, but one of my first games on my Xbox 360 was Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I think there was
that
3.
Sounds right. There was 3 for sure.
And when I tell you, my thought process as a tween was like, if I'm gonna be a gamer, I need to play a fighting game. So I fucking, even though like I would never touch a fighting game again, but holy shit, that game was so fucking fun. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just mashing buttons, but it was the funnest fucking game, I swear.
I've only seen clips of it. I've never actually touched it myself. I hate most fighting games, even though yesterday we had a very fun stream of playing Smash Brothers Ultimate. I'm just bad at fighting games, so I don't tend to play a lot of them. But still have a blast. Marvel vs. Capcom looks incredible. And yeah, RIP to Capcom now, having Dragon's Dogma 2 instead of Marvel vs. Capcom 4. They could have done something way cooler, and chose not to. So that's on them. Yeah, so that's incredible. Very excited for that. We touched on this other thing a little bit ago. Stardew Valley announced their 1.6 update. Well, announced is released the 1.6 update. Concerned Ape, that's developer's name, I think.
I think so, yeah.
It's not on the website, so I just pulled up the changelog of the update itself, just to take a quick look, and I was like, oh, I'll highlight a couple of things, but it's a little bit difficult for me to just pick a couple of things to highlight in this massive changelog.
I did see a few that were trending.
Yeah.
You can now have a black cat as your pet. People really like that. And the other one I saw was that you can now drink mayonnaise.
Oh, you can get multiple pets.
So I know the Stardew girlies were really looking for that.
Is that something real people do?
I'm not a mayonnaise drinker, so I wouldn't fucking know.
Yeah, I have never drank mayonnaise or even thought to myself that this has the viscosity of something I want to drink. So yeah, I've never thought about it. But I guess people are excited about it. I don't know why it's an option. Because video games, that's why. I am excited to get back into it because last year I did have a big obsession with Stardew Valley for a couple months while I had my Steam Deck, and so I'm excited to pop back into it, play the Desert Festival and these new fishing festivals, and there's a new event in summer, and I don't know what that means. I've been keeping pretty good media blackout on this, just so I can get surprised by a lot of it. And yeah, so I'm excited to pop back in. I think I'll just pop back into my one save file. I don't think I feel like starting a new save. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We were going to play some this week and we didn't. So maybe we'll try and play some this upcoming week. Cuz yeah, it looks like they've done a lot with it, and like kudos to Concerned Ape, and I don't think he's got a team, but if he's got any helpers, then congrats to the team. On this major update, because I think after this, it's going full steam ahead on the Chocolatier game, so I'm very excited to see what comes from that.
Can I just say, I have never played Stardew. And I won't, because I know it is not for me. So sorry to the Stardew fangirlies. It's just not for me. It's just not for me. I've tried, it's just not for me. But I swear to God, I keep getting people DMing me the mod that someone made that puts a star into Stardew. And let me just tell you, like, does it make me want to kind of play Stardew? Yes, but I can't do that to myself because I don't want to never see the sunlight again.
Yeah. I've also not looked up this mod at all, so I'm going to go pull it up right now.
It's very cute. I will say.
Let's see here. So I found Nexus mods. This mod contains adult content, and so it's not letting me view it. I'm going to cautiously sign into Nexus mods. I guess I'm going to cautiously make a Nexus mods account because I have never used Nexus mods before.
Dude, you should download the Baldur's Gate 3 sex mod while you're at it.
I play Baldur's Gate 3 on my PlayStation, so RIP me. I know that they are
no
planning
sex
on
for you. Just like in real life.
yeah. Your email address has recently been entered in a website. Oh, okay. Apparently I already had a Nexus mods account. Sorry.
I was gonna say, like, I feel like it might be an older account.
Yeah, I just must have got it before I put in my password bank. That's fine. I just really want to see what's going on here. But no, I am excited that something they did announce related to the end of life of Baldur's Gate 3 is that there will be a mod launcher coming to console.
Yeah.
So I am excited to get to use that, and all right. Nope, I'm locked out of my account now. So I guess no Astarian Stardew for me. I will fix that later.
Look it up later. It looks very well done. So kudos to the person
I did see a screenshot before I popped in. Yeah, incredible. And also, I will have you know, in Stardew Valley, I did get married, so I'm perfectly fine on the romance front.
Who did you marry?
I married Leah.
Which one is that?
This is Leah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I know enough about the game to know that if I played it, I would romance Sebastian. Like, I don't know what it is about me that craves, like, edgy, like, asshole men. I don't know if he's actually an asshole or not, but I don't know what it is about me that craves edgy asshole men. Like, my life fucking depends on it. But
a rebellious loner who lives in his parents' basement. I'm glad to know that that's your type.
Exactly.
That is hilarious.
I love the kind of, I have such a terrible track record with men that I have to just kind of like hold their hands and fix, not only in real life, but also video games.
Incredible. I want to comment on that, but I can't think of anything productive. So
I do want an aside. Hunter, if you're watching this is not you. You've done a great job. I'm very proud of you. I'm referring to like the Secret Apartment X or, you know, any of the other X's in my life.
I just saw your tweet about Secret Apartment X. That is fucked up that somebody would do that. I can't imagine keeping a secret like that from somebody while
want
dating.
The full lore, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I would love to hear that story later. Because, like,
yes.
I don't have I have look. I'm gonna get real on the TL right now. I have never dated somebody longer than a month. I consider myself to be like a romantic person. It has just not worked out for me yet. And so here I am at 27, not really had a serious relationship. That being said, I cannot imagine being in a serious relationship and hiding something, anything. Like, that is wild to me. That
I respect that, because I have the opposite problem where I would date someone for way longer than I should have, and then you have shit like the secret apartment happen. So
I do also want to say the month-long thing was never my decision. So I would have been in your boat had the other people not been smarter than me. Anyway, let's move on to our last and final story of the day. Speaking of people that are smarter than me, or maybe not, I don't know. Overwatch 2, Blizzard has officially canceled PvE yet again, it seems. So I thought, we've talked about this before the show. We both thought this already happened.
Yeah, we did.
But apparently not. Overwatch 2's future PvE content has reportedly been canceled. This is Jordan Midler at Video Games Chronicle. According to Bloomberg, the PvE mode, which received 3 missions in 2023, will receive no more I have a magic extension, so you can hover over card names and it shows. So
I fucking love that.
Sometimes I'll just have random phrases be capitalized and red, and they shouldn't be capitalized and red.
Amazing.
Yeah, so we'll receive no more content. So when I first read that, I thought, oh, they're making a piece of content called No More. That's really cool. No, they're not.
No.
Due to the initial pack selling poorly, which does not surprise me. If I was somebody who still played Overwatch 2, heard that they weren't going to be pursuing PvE anymore, and they released a couple missions, I would not have bought them. Actually, I was still playing when they released the first one, and thought that. I was like, there's no reason for me to buy this if they're not really going to pursue it. So, like, I'm not doing it. I loved Overwatch 2 while I played it. I'm not going to be playing anymore, probably. And hopefully they'll get it right in Overwatch 3, you know?
If there is.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on this?
So I feel like a lot of Hunter's friends used to be really hardcore in the Overwatch scene, so I kind of get like updates.
Oh yeah,
about
that's how I don't remember when Hunter and I first met for the first time, like, in person, but one of my old college roommates and him are great friends, and I remember them talking about Overwatch all the time.
Yeah.
And like being in like the music frat Overwatch team and stuff.
And you know, I don't even know where to go with this. It's just such a it's real shit to come out with an entirely new game for like this thing that you've been touting for years and years and years, and then go back and say, LOL, it's canceled. And I think it's just poor planning, especially on, you know, because it's fucking Blizzard. We always knew it's, you know, gonna be a train wreck regardless. I wish more game developers would figure out, if you have a PvE game or a PvP game and you try to introduce the other one, you are essentially making a brand new game. You cannot bring in all your devs and have them start double loading themselves with work for both games. You are going to have to get an entirely new team. You're going to put out basically an entirely new game alongside your game. Because if we look at Destiny 2, you know, one of those areas is going to lack. And in Destiny 2, it's definitely PvP. And then all your people that play Destiny for PvP are going to get upset because there's not enough PvP when it was... I don't know if PvP actually came out in Destiny at the same time as PvE, but basically, like, you can't sustain both PvE and PvP without having the right people behind it. And it's been clear years after years after years that Blizzard does not have the right people behind it. So I was not surprised that it got canceled. Like we said, we both thought it had already been canceled after the news that came out last year. I think that was like, we're delaying it or whatever the news came out. So it sucks for the Overwatch people, but, you know, after, you know, disbanding the whole league and, you know, everything else that's gone wrong, like, holy shit, just like put it in its grave already.
Yeah, it needs to be done, and it still does have a fan base, so the servers will stay up for a while. I just wish that this talented team could go on and do something better for their time. Lost my train. Oh, the PvE and PvP experiences require completely different balancing, and so they're, like you said, two different teams need to work on them because they are in fact two different games. You could have the same heroes, you could have the same abilities, but the same abilities aren't going to have the same damage output, the same cooldown times, the same, and in fact some of the abilities might not even work, so scratch that. Like you'll need to change a lot of them for horde modes as opposed to taking out 5 or 6 players. So yeah, I've mixed feelings on this. I'm sad because like I do like the Overwatch world quite a bit. The characters are awesome. And I would have loved to play a PvE mode. But I'm also happy that they are not wasting their time trying to make something bad and instead are just pushing on to something else. So prayers for the Overwatch 2 developers as they move on to whatever Blizzard wants to ruin next. I'm sure it will be great. I'm sure it won't be great. I don't know. I'm lying to myself. Yeah, that's it. I thought we'd end on some sad news. Hey, I don't think there was any layoffs this week. At least there were no major news of layoffs this week. So there's that. Yeah. You know, yeah, Up Download didn't lay anybody off. I'm not paying any of you, but so I can't lay you off. But you know, we're good there. Yeah. So that's it. That's the news for the week. Yeah, Michelle, do you have anything else you want to talk about? Anything else touched on?
If you're someone that keeps DMing me as starring pictures, please continue. Love it.
Is that a thing that happens? Do people
Dude,
just do
I have
that?
so many moods that just, they see a starring content in their timeline, they just send it to me.
I love that. I wish I had that kind of support for like Shadowheart or literally anybody.
I will, if I see some Shadowheart art, I'll send it to you.
Great. I will. That will make my days so much better. Just because, yeah, I have very few attractive things to look at the moment until I move in May. So that would be great.
Gotcha.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for hanging out today, and appreciate you hanging out in the chat, chatting with us throughout the show. Been a fun show. A lot of great stuff to talk about today. And yeah, if you haven't already, make sure if you're a fan of Smash Ultimate or Mario Kart, yesterday we played some of that. You can check out the VOD on YouTube. Head to upupdownload.com. There you can see Billy's latest article from last week, Mother 3 and Love We Will Never See. Very sad. And hopefully we'll have some more articles coming out in the next week or two. Upupdownload.com. Otherwise, check us out on the socials at upupdownload. You can find Michelle at MixYen on Twitter. Find me at Sterling M. Oliver. And yeah.